Hi guys, Maverick Veteran here, looking a bit ragged and actually doing a recorded message to everybody today as opposed to a live. Been up pretty much all night watching live feeds going back months and reading up on information received from two friends of mine, Gary Clark and Nathan Kirkton. And it's reference some call outs, if you like, reference some requests made by a guy called Andy Devine and a guy from New Zealand called John Wanoa, who support the King's flag. Now the King's flag is if you've never seen one, is basically a white flag with a St. George's cross on it, and in one corner has 4 stars, and that's basically a flag of the Navy, the British Navy, as was, which is now of course the Royal Navy, and anybody in possession of that flag had the protection from the Royal Navy. So it's, if you like, it's a flag of the Admiralty of old. Now, what Andy and John are asking in their live feeds is for myself and or Dean Cumberpatch, preferably both of us, to sign up to, and I quote, the King's Bench Crown Court Land Lease Writ of Control and Possession, which basically says that the veterans, all 4.8 million of us, are willing and able to take control of the Houses of Parliament and all land within the United Kingdom and the Commonwealth. Well, that concerns me, because if you enact the King's flag scam, and that's basically what it is, a scam, you have to pay £25 per man for the privilege. So if all 4 million vets, let's say, paid into that £25 scam, that's £100 million raised for the scam. It is also tantamount to committing an act of treason. So I'm telling you now, publicly, that I, Dean Cumberpatch, and the remaining 4 million plus vets have nothing to do with the King's flag scam, will never have anything to do with the King's flag scam, and immediately after this feed I'll be blocking Andy Devine and John Wanoa from my Facebook page. Now, the government, the Constitution, is basically our solution, so all we have to do is continue the way that we are continuing now with our legal protests, etc. Common law, the rule of law, no loss, no harm, no injury and no fraud is definitely the way to go, and that's the way we're going to continue it. And this Friday, of course, we've got another protest for Northern Ireland vets in Hull, so I'll be there speaking. If anybody else is in the area, please do come along and support that. And on the 29th of June, we will all be forming up in Hyde Park, London, to, under common law, protest and see if we can change things for the better within our country. But in no way, shape or form, in any way of anybody's imagination, are the veterans involved with the King's flag scam. Now, in addition to that scam, there is also a sovereign decree that people are being asked to take part in. This is going to cost you £50 per head, believe it or not. That's quite legal. You can go into that sovereign decree if you want, and it basically takes you out of the democratic system. But once you're out of that democratic system, you have no comeback. And there is a disclaimer attached explaining exactly what that means. Now, the no comeback means that you cannot claim benefits. If you're a veteran and you want assistance with your combat related PTSD, for example, well, you're not going to get any assistance because you're no longer within the system. If you stay within the system and you use common law and our constitution to fight your battles, well, that's one thing. That's perfectly legal and it's perfectly justified, and that's definitely the way that you should go. If you choose not to pay your personal taxes, that's up to you. You're still within the system and you'll just be chased for those taxes at a later date. That's perfectly fine, that's perfectly legal. But to bring yourself out of the system by enacting that decree and paying £50 for the privilege, I don't really think that's the way to go. So anybody that's being asked to submit £50 to come to enact that decree, or anybody that's being asked £25 to enact the King's Flag scam, my advice is don't get involved, close yourself down to it and leave it well alone. Because if you're working class like me and you rely on having a job and you rely on perhaps going into the system for bits of assistance here and there, including, for me, my mental health issues, then they're going to be closed down to you. And you certainly don't want to be involved in anything that can be classed as treasonous, because we all sign the oath of allegiance at the end of the day. So if you're working class, don't get involved. If you've got piles of money and you want to spend £50 and go out of the system, well, that's up to you, because you're probably never going to need the system anyway. So that's entirely up to you. But I'll say once again, the veterans are not involved in the King's Flag scam, and I would discourage anybody from entering into the decree that takes you out of our system, our democratic system. So, my advice: work with the vets, work with allies of the vets, including the Democratic Football Lads Alliance, not the old-fashioned Football Lads Alliance that died off at the beginning of 2018. The new Democratic Football Lads Alliance, which is 100% transparent and 100% online with the veterans, and just engage in lawful rebellion so that you can honour the lives of the fallen and ensure that a sustainable, honest and prosperous nation is available to us now and for future generations. So lots is going on at the moment. President Trump's over here. He was at his state banquet with Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II yesterday evening, and there's some good live footage of that that's available on Facebook. So I would urge you to watch that, because they talk about constitution and they talk about democracy. So it wouldn't be beyond my imagination, and perhaps hopefully not beyond your imagination, to hope that something is going in the right direction already. And I would anticipate the Queen perhaps making a statement towards the end of this week, because Theresa May, she leaves on Friday the 7th, so this Friday coming, and the state open of Parliament will be, I think, in September, so after their summer recess. So it wouldn't surprise me if the Queen, if she's going to get involved and says anything on our behalf for the good and the benefit of the nation and the Commonwealth, I would say it's on the horizon for around about between Friday and September. So I'd like to thank Gary Clark and Nathan Kirkton for all the work that they've assisted me in over the past few days in me getting this message across to you. In addition to that, on the live feeds that I've been watching through the night, I see that all the libtard fuckwits are out on the streets protesting against the Trump visit. and Corbyn, of course, is accusing Trump of spreading hate, which is absolutely ridiculous. Corbyn is also showing support for ISIS and saying that support for ISIS or any other terrorist organisation shouldn't be seen as a crime, it should only be seen as a political statement. Well, we all know where his true colours lie. And he also shows full support for Sadiq Khan and the fact that it's good for London to have a Lord Mayor who's from the Muslim community. Well, that's fine until you realise that Khan has also stated within the last 24 hours that Trump is a right-wing poster boy. So he's quite close to committing treason himself. And I can quite categorically say that the petition that's out there asking for Sadiq to be removed from his position as Lord Mayor of London should be signed by everybody and get the twat out immediately. Corbyn and his support for Khan, well, that's fine. If he wants to support him, they're both Labour politicians at the end of the day. If they want support for each other, that's fine. But I would just say to Corbyn, remember that Ernst Röhm had great support for Adolf Hitler, and once he got Adolf Hitler into a position of power, Adolf Hitler had Ernst Röhm killed. So who's to say that that isn't on the cards for Mr. Corbyn in the future? Just my personal thought. I'm not saying that's going to happen, just a personal thought. Sometimes you can vote for the wrong horse. So I think that's all I've got to say at the moment, apart from the fact that I'm going to reiterate the veterans have absolutely nothing to do with the King's Flag scam, and anybody that is being lulled into a false sense of security and think that they're going to get something for the £25 that they pay John Winnower and Andy Devine to invoke the King's Bench Crown Court Land Lease Writ of Control and Possession, I would urge you stay away from it, because you have not got the backing of any of Her Majesty the Queen's veterans here within the UK or the remainder of the Commonwealth. Remember, love you all loads. Don't suffer in silence. If you need me, my phone is on. If you can't get me on the phone, leave me a message and I will definitely call you back. In the meantime, take care of each other. Love you all loads. Stay safe. This call sign is out.